For the last 30 years I've been selling houses, there's basically been one way to handle inspections, and that has been buyer makes an offer subject to an inspection that the buyer does, and they usually have 7 to 10 days to do it. After which the buyer comes back and there's a whole second negotiation. Sometimes those negotiations are very unreasonable because the buyer understands they've taken the house off the market. The status was active, now it's pending, and the seller does not want to come back on the market. So sometimes they can extort a lot more out of the seller than they otherwise would have been able to. So there's basically 3 ways to combat this. One is what we call a seller procured inspection, where we do this and we pay for it up front for our sellers, and we give it to the buyer up front and try to get them to waive the inspection, or we negotiate inspection items off of that seller procured inspection. The second way to do it is if you don't want to do that, or in some cases the buyer says, I think there's collusion. That seller procured inspection was paid for by the seller or the agent. I don't believe it. Then you can do this thing called, it's basically a pre-inspection, but the buyer does it on their own before you sign the agreement. Maybe you have some verbal back and forth that, yeah, this agreement looks good, but buyer, you hire your inspector, get him out there this afternoon or tomorrow, look it over, and then the offer or the negotiation for the inspection happens before the house goes pending. And then the third way to do it, and we've been doing this a lot lately, is if the buyer isn't comfortable with the inspection that we give them, we say, we'll give you a 1 day or a 24-hour, 1 day is fine, basically, window during which you can do your inspection. And basically we're saying your inspection is going to look like the one that we already gave you, but if you want to do your own, you can. The magic behind this is the MLS guidelines say I don't have to input the listing as pending until 24 hours or 1 business day, basically. So if they come back the following day and say we disapprove of the inspection, we don't have to mark it as pending, and no one knows that we had an offer that died.